maximize, to offer something that also allows us to get something else. So within marriage, what we offer a partner and what that partner conversely offers us allows the couple to maximize. And so that's really what exchange theory looks at. What do we get out of exchange-based relationships? And that's ultimately what a family is, in addition to other institutions, the economy. We can also talk about government. We can also talk about the military. That exchange is in all of these social environments and all of these social institutions. So furthermore, exchange theory says individuals and groups, and I should say individuals and groups, they enter into relationships to maximize. And in those relationships, we offer our strengths. So we can offer beauty, attractiveness. We can offer money. We exchange these to maximize what we get and to help sustain and keep the relationship going. And so the idea here is that choices we make within relationships, just like society, are rational. That we think about the cost, we think about the benefit, and then we proceed from there. Right? And so the idea is that, well, relationships will go along and they'll stay in practice as long as both people's, if you will, needs are met, both partners' needs are met. And so that's the idea, that if the exchange is one where people get to maximize routinely, that ultimately that's what sustains the relationship. Can't leave out symbolic interaction. For those of you who know about this from sociology, from the intro class, symbolic interaction says that within society there are symbols that we exchange in how we communicate, and those symbols also have a way of impacting and shaping interaction. We act on meanings that we attach to social experiences. The words we use, the symbols that we recognize and use when we communicate, how we communicate, those are key ways of understanding social life and understanding social experiences. And so families are an arena of symbols. Father is a symbol. It's symbolic of something. Mother is symbolic of something. And historically, father was symbolic of breadwinner, of provider. Mother was symbolic of nurturer, of homemaker. And quite frankly, we know that symbols change over time. And so that's one great thing about symbolic interaction. It recognizes the great ways within which families have changed. And we are going beyond a lot of those traditional assumptions of what gender is all about and how gender is enacted within family. And so we'll be looking at that as well. So in a way you can think about that. What does housework symbolize? What does work around the house symbolize? What does being a stay-at-home mother symbolize today versus what it did in the past? What rather does being a stay-at-home father represent? What does that symbolize today? How is that different, for instance, from being a stay-at-home mom in terms of that social recognition? And again, we know that symbols matter. We know that the meanings we attach to social experiences matter, and that's what symbolic interaction is ultimately invested in. We also can't leave out what we call modernity theory, which really looks at how modern life creates and shapes and sustains relationships, and how that challenges a lot of the notions that we've had of tradition and how tradition operates within relationships. So modernity theory examines the role, the expansion, and definition of individual choice and individual rights within society and its institutions. What we see now is that we often find that there isn't as much social pressure to marry. There isn't as much social pressure to have a family. There isn't as much social pressure or expectation to have children. And so we're looking at a modern sort of space that the family ultimately exists in. And we'll see that over time that family has shifted from largely being an economic concern to largely being an emotional center and meaning for emotional connection and emotional relationships as well. Modernity theory realizes and recognizes we have much greater freedom from traditional values, and that there's much greater debate over the significance of traditional approaches to family. There's also support from, again, both the market, the economy, if you will, and from the state, the government, with respect to how we live in marriage and in family, but also whether or not we're actually going to do that. And so we get more flexibility and more freedom from the economy and from the government, from the state and it also gives us the freedom within which to decide whether or not we indeed will be a part of a family.